Hello, everybody. Long time no talk about books. I don't know how to say that correctly, but it has been a full 6 months since I have done any kind of book video. All of last year, my goal was to read 25 books in the year of 2025. And if you watched any of my Vlogmas videos, you would have seen that I made that another goal this year. Well, I don't know if I talked about it in Vlogmas, but I made another goal to read 26 books in 2026. And all of last year, I would share at the end of each month all of the books that I read that month. If you've been following me for a while or know anything about my personal life, I had kind of a small break from YouTube where I wasn't really posting anything, and then I've been slowly gradually making my way back. So I have yet to upload any videos about the books that I've been reading, so that is what I'm gonna do in today's video. This is also one of the first videos that I filmed in my new apartment, so that's kind of exciting. You guys are getting like a small sneak peek of what it looks like, so I'm excited to show you guys the full thing, but that probably won't be for a while because I still have a couple things I want to do in it. But anyways, let's get into this video. Okay, well, to start off, I do still use Goodreads, but I also downloaded this new app called Fable. And the reason why I got Fable is I saw a video about it, and it does reading streaks, so you can kind of see how long your longest streak was that you read in a row. It basically just means that you read for a certain number of days in a row, and it's kind of cool. It shows it on a little calendar like this, and it shows every book that you read, so you can kind of see which books you read on which days as part of the streak. And then let me go back to, so the days that are colored like this, that's your longest streak. And it also separates them by month, and then it has a little flower for your reading goal. And then another thing is, it also does genres, average rating, and then most read author, which we'll get into that. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. And you can also join clubs. The reviews are a little bit different than Goodreads. They're people do little, almost like a Twitter for book reviews. You can join little book clubs, things like that. And the nice thing is that it synced my Goodreads library, so all of my books transferred over. But anyways, let's get into what this video was actually about, which is the books that I read. So I guess just to catch you all up, which I usually share this at the end, but we're gonna do it now. So far this year, I have read 13 books. I'm honestly really proud of myself and impressed with myself that halfway through the year, oh my god, it's been halfway through the year. Saying that out loud is actually crazy to me that this year is halfway done. Anyways, but 50% of the challenge done in 50% of the year, I think is pretty good in my opinion, especially because if your goal is to read 2 to 3 books a month, I'm doing pretty good. I'm on track. And according to this, I'm 3 books ahead of schedule. So anyways, let's go back all the way to January. All right, so I don't know if I talked about this in my December video, but I did finish Regretting You in January. So I started reading it in 2025, but I didn't finish it until 2026. And I was reading this book because I actually watched the movie first. So I was curious to see what the book was going to be like. It wasn't it was a lot different from the movie, but there were also parts where it just felt like I was watching the movie as a book. It really felt like the movie was just a play-by-play of the book. But there were some things that they left out and things that they changed in the movie that was different than the book. So I don't know. I still don't know if I'm a book before movie or movie before book person. I did read Love Hypothesis last year because the movie was coming out this year. At least I think it's coming out this year. So again, I'm not really sure if I'm a one before the other, but I do know there are people out there who do have a preference. So let me know. And speaking of Love Hypothesis, I also read Love Theoretically. So I actually read 2 Ali Hazelwood books last year, and I read a third one this year in January. It was called Love Theoretically. And I just like, last year was my year of finding those like smutty romance books, and I didn't realize how much I like really get into them, but I do. So I read Love Theoretically because I really like Ali Hazelwood, and oh my god, that book was so good. I finished it in 2 days. Like, it was so good. Okay, now this Lori Gilmore that I alluded to. So in my December books, I talked about this book that I read called The Christmas Tree Farm, and it was actually a reread from 2024, I think. So it was my second time reading it. And what I found out was it is actually part of a series called Dream Harbor by Lori Gilmore. So I ended up buying the rest of the series because it comes on Kindle Unlimited. And I have read every single book in that series this year, except for Christmas Tree Farm, of course, because yes, I could read it in the order, but like, since I've already read it twice, I just kind of skipped it. So book 1, I read in 2 days. Book 2, I read in 3 days. And book 4 took me a week to read. Now, around this time, like around book 4, that was when I was going home to deal with a family situation. We were kind of like in and out of hospitals, so I think that's why it took me a little bit longer. And then book 5, I also read it in 2 days. I didn't like that one as much. I gave it 3 stars. I gave 1 and 2 and 3 5 stars. And I gave 4 4 stars, and then 5 3 stars. But I absolutely love these books. They are so good. I recently joined a Facebook group that is just for people that love her books, and you're gonna find out why in a couple of minutes. But they're just so good. And if I had to recommend a smutty romance series, I would definitely recommend this one. And there's actually like some other series that are kind of giving off the same vibes that I've been seeing on Kindle, so I might try those out next, and I'll let you know how they are. All right, so next is a book that I read. It's called Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. This one I also read in a day. I don't think it's that long. Yeah, it's 72 pages. I didn't love it. I just read it because it was Ali Hazelwood, but again, didn't love it. Then I kind of had a pause. It took me a while to get back into reading because family stuff. But I read People We Meet on Vacation, and this book took me so long to read. I think part of it was because I started it in February, and February was when like my family kind of like things just kind of blew up, and so I was like dealing with my own stuff. But this book took me a really long time to read, and I think it was because I couldn't really get into it. I was excited for it because it was becoming a rom-com, and I really like rom-coms, and then I like romance books, but I couldn't get into it. Honestly, like, I didn't like it that much. And then I watched the movie and I didn't really vibe with the movie. And then like the movie compared to the book, I was like, yeah. So yeah, not my favorite. And then I read Will Prescribe You a Cat. This one also kind of took me a while because it was like harder for me to get into. It was basically a book about different people who live in Japan, and they go to this like doctor's office that keeps disappearing and like reappearing, and they get prescribed this cat, and it somehow like changes their life in some way. I was suggested it because I love cats, and it was cute. Like, it was a cute read. There's a second one. I don't think I'm gonna read the second one though. Okay, then I read a book called In the Midst of Winter, Selections from the Literature of Mourning. This was a gift to me by my high school English teacher, so I felt like I needed to read it. This one, it also took me a while to read. It took me a month to read, and it's because I didn't really vibe with it, because I think the problem is since it was like excerpts, it didn't really feel like I was reading something with a plot. It was like excerpts of poems and short stories and novels, and like, while I liked that to a sense, it didn't really feel like something that I could really get into. And the excerpts were divided by like different things, like losing a mom, losing a child, the grieving period, things like that. But I couldn't really get into it, so that's kind of why it took me so long to read it. But I did want to finish it because my high school English teacher like went out of her way to send it to me. So it's just not my style of book, doing stuff like that. Okay. Then this Facebook group that I joined, I joined it after Lori Gilmore released her 6th book in the series called The Daisy Chain Flower Shop. And I kid you not, I read this in one day. Literally, one day, I couldn't put it down. And that is when I joined the Facebook group. And there's a book, I think it's like in between 3 and 4 or something like that. It was only released in certain countries. And this Facebook group tells me it is getting released in the US. So it's not until 2027, but I'm really excited. Can you tell that I'm excited? And she has other series too. Might consider it. I don't know. Yes, it was amazing. And the thing is, I was reading this while I was at work. And if you watched my quarter life crisis video, you would see that I work at an elementary school and they have like quiet time and reading time. And so usually when they're doing independent reading, I'm doing independent reading. Or if they're in quiet time, I'll be reading. Or if they're like doing something where I don't necessarily need to pay attention to the kid, I'll be reading or on my laptop. And I could not put this book down. And I felt a little bad because it was like smutty romance and I was reading it in front of 5th graders, but it was on my Kindle. I don't think anyone is gonna like peer over my shoulder, but oh my God, it was so good. Like I wasn't expecting to like it that much, but I did. And it's interesting being in this Facebook group because now people are talking about this new book and they're talking about all the other books and like which ones they liked more or less. So it's gonna be interesting. It's kind of cool being in that group. All right, and then finally I have 2 more books to catch you guys up on. The first one is called The 7 Daughters of Dupree. This one, it says it took me almost 2 months to read. Yeah, I think I like started it and then I was reading something else and then I kind of took a break from reading and then I picked up that Daisy Chain book and I couldn't put it down, so I had to finish that first. But this one, it was really interesting. It basically kind of goes back and forth between different generations of women who all stem from the same bloodline, and they're all like Black women in the US, and the earliest person in this family genealogy thing was a slave. And it kind of follows each generation learning about the previous and like how they grew up. So for example, there was a generation where there were 3 of them living in the same house. But the main girl is the one who's like supposed to be more present day, like it's 1999 2000 kind of thing, and she doesn't know who her dad is, and so she kind of goes looking for her dad. And so it kind of takes us back in time of like when her mom grew up and how her grandma and like etc etc. It kind of reminded me of Greta Gerwig's Little Women. The way that she did her Little Women was she would go back and forth between the older parts of the story and the more present parts. Like it would start out with like Jo trying to sell her book and then go back in time to like when she was with her sisters living in the house, as opposed to like more traditional forms of Little Women where they just go kind of chronologically. Greta Gerwig kind of went back and forth, and that's kind of what the book reminded me of. It was like very much back and forth. I kind of liked it. It was an interesting like perspective to read about and to kind of think about what life was like during all of those different time periods for those different people. Like it went all the way back to like the 1800s, and just like imagining life as a slave, like that's really difficult and I could never speak to that. But like being able to read it was really interesting. I will say though, if you're going to pick up this book, they do tell the story of the first woman, and at the very end of the book. And I was not expecting it to go the way that it did. It was really sad and a little graphic. Yeah, I was not expecting that when I read it. So just be prepared when you're reading the ending of that book. And then the last book, I actually finished it today. It's called The Child Catcher. This book has been on my list for a while. I tried to read it before and I couldn't get into it, so I moved it to did not finish. Then I moved it back and I was like, you know what? Actually, I want to try. So this book, actually, I got it for free from the school of social work. They invited the author to come to a talk and then he signed the books. And what really interested me about him was that he went to social work school, but he also went to law school, and he talked about this case where he was representing kids in a mental health facility who were getting abused and mistreated. And that's what this book is about. And Surprisingly, it being nonfiction, I actually finished it and I actually liked it. Sometimes it's harder for me to get into nonfiction, like biographies or memoirs or things like that. But no, I actually I really liked this one. I vibed with it, and yeah, it was pretty good. So yeah, those are all the 13 books that I have read this year. And I'm excited to continue reading more. I have a lot of books on my want to read list. There is some new romance series I might want to try out. I also just finished Off Campus, which is that Prime show, and that's also a book series, so I'm considering reading that series. A lot of books on my bookshelf that I want to read. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video. It's been a while, but I do hope to be back with the monthly what did I read that month. And yeah, I'm excited to continue reading books. So that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!